Hello, I'm Linda Ann Smith. I'm back with another ColourArte project, and I made these out of pieces of broken glass. However, I do not recommend that you use broken glass. I found a much safer way to make the same effect. I liked the end result of what happened when I used the paper clay with the glass, but I don't find it a really safe project. So I'm going to show you how I did this, and then I'm going to show you how to do it safely. Even a child could do it with the second method. I surrounded the glass with paper clay, creative paper clay, sometimes one piece, sometimes two pieces of glass, sometimes three, and I let that dry after I inserted a bail that I made with jewelry wire. I painted the paper clay area with silk acrylic glazes that you can get at ColourArte.com. I painted them with one color first, solid, each one a different color, but then I added several layers of glaze. And the results were beautiful. I think they look like raku pottery, a deep, rich layer of color. When I covered the entire back of the glass with paper clay, I added a layer of foil between the glass and the paper clay. This gave the glass a really nice shine. And on some of the pendants, I left them open like a window on both sides. I was happy with the overall results, but I didn't feel like the glass was a safe project to promote online. So out with the glass. And here's the solution. I used clay tiles. The turquoise at the top is clay, and glass tiles, and that strange little shape that you see to the right there at the bottom is a piece of plastic from an old pair of sunglasses. I keep my paper clay inside of a bag, usually wrapped in foil so that it won't dry out. You can also keep it in an airtight container. When I started to put away the paper clay at my last use, I noticed that it was getting a little bit dry, so I put like 3 or 4 drops of water inside the paper clay bag, and I checked it out earlier today and it's just in perfect shape again. I'm pulling out just a little bit of the clay at a time to work with so the other can stay moist inside the bag. And these tiles are really cool because they're spaced already. So if you want formal spacing, they work quite well. And these little knobs on the side, the glue that holds them together, you can either pull those off with a pair of scissors or tweezers, or you can leave them there to help you put the wire on for the bail. I think 3 of these would make a nice pendant, so I've cut away 3. And that's what I'm going to start working with. You could use 2 or, 1 at a time, whatever you like. These are the kind of tiles that they use as backsplashes in kitchens and maybe in bathrooms, these clay tiles, and then the glass tiles that I showed you earlier. The edges are smooth, so you don't have to worry about sharp edges, about that being a problem. These particular glass tiles have a little bit different kind of spacer on the back. It's a paper, and it's glued down to the paper, but you're going to be putting paper around it. So it's okay to leave them on the paper. You can pull them off and do them one at a time, or you can just leave it like it is. I'm going to work with these 3 hooked together, but I'm going to remove the excess here, just rip it all off. And so I've got 3 tiles in a row, which I think will look nice vertically. My paper clay is the creative paper clay that comes in natural white. I think it comes in several other colors, but I'm going to show you later how I colored some. So I'm rolling it into a little ball. Remember how you used to take clay and roll it into snakes? Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm making snakes. I've been pleased with the way the paper clay dries into such a very hard surface. When you let it get completely dry, it's a pretty durable media. So I'm trying to get it a little bit uniform. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm rolling it out. And rolling and rolling. Okay. So I'm going to kind of judge how much I need here. trying to decide what way I'm going to put it around the tiles. And I think I'll do it this way. I'm putting a little extra piece on the top so it completely makes a frame all the way around all 3 tiles. And it's pretty easy to add pieces on. It just takes water as glue. Just a little bit of water and a little bit of the paper clay pushed together. Then I'm going to try to shape this a little bit, but I can also take a wet paintbrush later and shape it, and I don't know that I want everything to look exactly perfect because the whole idea is that it's handmade. But then we don't have to work at making things imperfect. It's pretty easy to do that. I have my paintbrush and a container of water, and this works just like real ceramic clay. Even better, maybe. I know that with ceramic clay we would add water to make a slip, and adding water directly on this seems to glue it together pretty well. So I have a little water on my brush and I'm brushing back and forth to smooth it out. Funny thing is, I'm going to get it all smooth and then I'm going to dimple it to make it look like hammered metal, but I like for it to look good first before I do that, because I seem to get my fingernails into it an awful lot and make little dents. So I don't want them to be sharp little dents. I want them to be little dimply, hammered looks. And then you can take the end of a paintbrush and push it out and push it back and, you know, just arrange it. Shape it just like you want it to look. And I could have added the wire earlier. I could have put it in between the tiles and pulled it through the back, but sometimes I just like to do things the hard way, I guess. Look at my finger here. I've got paper clay dried on it, and just rinsing your hand under the faucet takes that off. It's always good when cleanup is easy. I'm lifting out a little piece of clay that got down in there. So I'm also, as I work with it, realizing I could have gone between the areas of the tiles first, and that might have been easier, but as I said, who wants to do things the easy way? I turned my pendant upside down, and you can see here the brown paper on the back. This is the back side of the pendant, and I'm working with a piece to go on the back, but that paper, I left it on there to space those tiles, and it's going to work that way. It's not going to do a thing to harm your pendant. On second thought, I think I do want to make this a little more uniform than I had it. It didn't look as nice as I thought, so I got a glass out of the cabinet, and the nice thing is this is clear and I can see through it and see what the paper clay is doing when I use it like a rolling pin to roll this out. I want to get it larger than the pendant is so I can lay that pendant. I've already flipped the pendant back over again, so that's the front you're looking at. But I want to get this larger than the pendant, then I'll lay it on there and cut around it to make a back for the pendant. You'll notice that it's sticking to the glass, but it's really easy to remove, and this is a plastic glass. If I'd left the clay out to dry just a little bit, it wouldn't have stuck at all. But then it would be harder to work the clay and manipulate it in the way that the shapes that I want to make. I have a few little specks in it, but it's picked up some paint off of my sheet here that I'm working on. I'm working on freezer paper, the shiny side of the freezer paper. That's a good surface when you want a non-stick surface. I'm going to reach over here for 3 more tiles so I can get the right size. You know, you could press this down on top of this and then pull it up on the sides. Cut around and leave a margin and pull it up on the sides. That would be another method of doing it. But I've already started this way with the snaky little frame around it, and I'm going to use this as a pattern to cut out what needs to go on the bottom. It doesn't have to be anything very sharp to cut with. I actually used the handle of a paintbrush one day. I slid this over and put it on top of the piece that I cut out, and now I flipped it back over to the back again, and I'm going to use my paintbrush and a little water to pull it up and pull it into the back to make the seams go together. Pretty easy. Takes a little time, takes a little patience, but it's just a pretty easy process. It's almost all together now. I just need to finish up just a little bit where the seams didn't quite catch, or I haven't done them yet on this side. So you can use your fingers, you can use the paintbrush handle. I made another little snake. Now I'm going to cut it and make pieces to go in between the tiles on the front. Just place it in there. If you're wondering what that violet liquid is up there, that's my water dish. I was painting earlier and it's not dirty enough that I have to get up. I want to work with this clay while it is in good working moisture content. So I continue just to push in another piece between the other two tiles. And look how I flattened it out, and it's just all in the wrong shape. Well, you just cut that off or use the paintbrush and clean it up. It's not written in stone, not yet until it dries. So it's all smoothed out now, and I'm using the handle end of a large paintbrush to make dimples in it. I want to give it the effect of being hammered metal. So it's just, you know, dimple on the sides, dimple on the corners, all over it. Just in case the pendant turns over when I'm wearing it, I want the back to look finished also. So I'm going to dimple the back as well as the front of the pendant. This is inexpensive jewelry wire like you buy in any craft store, and I'm going to use that to make the bail for my pendant. Cut off a piece, probably more than I'm going to need, but you know, cut off ample amount so that you can so that you have enough length to wind it around something cylindrical. And this paintbrush looks like it's about the right size. I'll try that. So I'm going to wrap it around. Sometimes it's a little hard to get started, but then it works pretty easy after you do get it started. Just pull it around. And I'm going to pull it around twice to make sure that it's nice and strong. And then I'll pull these wires together and take my pliers and I'll twist these two wires together. Once I get a good grip on these wires, all I have to do is move the paintbrush and it'll twist the wires like this. Okay, so you just move it up and let it, well, okay, here we go. You move it up and turn the paintbrush, and while you're holding the wires, and that'll twist it with a nice uniform appearance. Now I'm cutting off the excess wire so that I can twist the ends of this wire into a little loop-like shape, because if I just use it straight like it is, it would pull out more easily and be harder to keep inside the pendant. But if I make it a turn in it, make a little loop to fit inside the paper clay, it should stay stable. I add a little bit of paper clay to the back of this. I've put the pendant on the back, and I'm going to put a little piece of paper clay over it to secure it and press it down, and then I'll use my water and my brush and I'll get it all cleaned up and it will be finished.